everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I just got back from watching Red 1, the brand new Rock and Chris Evans and J.K. Simmons Christmas movie that I'm sure you've seen playing in trailers in front of many other movies for the past several months. And yeah, this one is not being it's not being treated kindly by critics. It's getting, I saw a 3 on IGN, which is pretty abysmal. And look, the first thing I'm going to say right now, this movie, it's just a movie. It's generic. It's like a lot of stuff you've seen before, but it's also not like offensively bad in any way. Like, this is not Madam Web or anything like that, right? This is the Borderlands movie. So, you know, it does kind of feel like one of those situations where, like, because of its kind of blandness, and it's just like, it's a movie that just exists and you'll probably forget that it ever happened, it's kind of being like overly hated by critics right now, and that's kind of strange to see. It's weird when that happens, because, you know, we can tell a movie that's so bad that it kind of becomes a meme, where it becomes like, oh, this is like the horrible movie of the summer, you know. But this doesn't feel like that. It does feel like some genuine effort went into several parts of the movie, right? Like, they actually try to do, like, you know, hit the notes, the bullet points of your heartfelt moment, and the part where your character learns a lesson, you know. Then it's got a lot of those like standard Christmas type of motifs going all around it, you know. The other thing is that it's also not original in the ways of that it treats like the North Pole sort of like a, you know, like this high grade operation facility that has like all these computers running and radar and force fields and all this technology and stuff like that. You know, we've seen similar things like that in the Disney Tim Allen Santa Claus movies and shows, right? It's, you know, pretty similar concepts, way to modernize Santa, right? I think the only real thing that this one does differently that actually felt kind of surprising is that in this universe, Santa has a relationship with the United States military, and I guess all governments. They have an organization that is essentially S.H.I.E.L.D., but for mythological beings. I forget the name of it. It was like M.O. something. Anyways, this is their like S.H.I.E.L.D. organization that I guess the world governments came together and, like, you know, that's what they do. It almost feels like entering that into this movie opens you up for a sequel, right? To where you could do, you know, because they specifically show that it's any kind of mythological creature that this organization deals with, because they even show the Headless Horseman really early on. So you're like, okay, so it's not just Santa Claus, it's like any kind of creature, right? And we see that as the movie goes on. We see, like, when we go to Krampus's lair, we see like Cyclopses and other sort of, you know, Minotaur looking guys, and just a bunch of monsters, right? And so, if anything, I do kind of want to praise this movie for some of its creature design and some of its costume work, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, you know what? Someone did put effort into this. Like the Krampus looks pretty cool. Like, they gave him like 6 horns, and, you know, a lot of like the monsters that are hanging out at his place, they look really good, you know. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool. I guess my thing at the end of all this, it does feel like a movie where there might have been scenes taken out, because, you know, we don't really explore the North Pole that much. They kind of just, we get like these like really surface level glances on like how the operation works and all the different creatures that are there. We barely get to see any of that before the movie kind of kicks off, right? And I guess in that way it doesn't feel like anyone there other than our main, I guess, trio end up being real characters, I guess, which is fine. Like, they wanted to focus on The Rock and Chris Evans, this sort of being like this buddy comedy, you know, road trip situation, right? Which, in that respect, I think there's another thing here, is that I think this movie works fine as like a you know, children's family movie that, you know, you could put on Netflix or whatever, which I'm sure it's going to end up being for some people. Like, this is going to be their Netflix movie that they put on for their kids, right? I guess my thing is, as I'm watching this, they, you know, they swear a little bit, like a tiny bit, but I can already imagine a version of this movie with a little bit more of an edge to it, to where like they could have pushed that buddy comedy thing even more than it already is, and they could have really made this like a, you know, just like an actual, like, not necessarily R-rated, you know, you don't have to go that far, but you know, it could have been leaned more towards adults in the room. They could have heightened everything really, but it feels like either, you know, either they just decided not to do that, or there is a bunch of other cuts that they edited out of this in order to go a little bit safer and a little bit more family friendly, and that's overall what this is. So I don't know. Look, Red One, it feels like a lot of stuff you've seen before. You know, like you've seen Santa Claus have this, you know, high grade organization of, you know, the elves are kind of acting like soldiers kind of thing. Like, we've seen this before, we get this, but ultimately it's fine. It's like, you know, it's just very middle of the road, very generic. You're gonna forget that you even saw this movie. You know, it feels like they didn't bother to go past the surface level of really much of anything. You know, but again, it has its small little moments. You know, like some of the buddy cop stuff I think actually does work sometimes. And you know, like I said, the creature design is pretty good. I like the snowman. I like all the monsters that are with Krampus. You know, like, I'm like, all right, this is not bad. So anyways, that's Red One. I know it's kind of getting dumped on this week, and maybe it's just because there are no other movies out really, but it's not like this horrible awful thing. It's just very forgettable, which to some people that's worse. You know, to some people, like, oh, you forgot you even watched that movie, and like, yeah, I probably will. Like, I can already imagine a year from now going like, wait, did I see this? And yeah, part of me does kind of wish that there would be like an unrated version of this where like they kind of just go for it, you know, make it The Other Guys of Christmas or something. I don't know. And they, you know, it easily could have been that, and they just, I don't know. So someday someone's gonna do a similar concept where they like just go for it all the way. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about Red One, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.